Hey, this video is about the shift in the way that we're supposed to be looking at life. And I realize from the comments that I get that very few of you have been doing your homework. And it must be maddening. It must be irrational what's going on. And you don't understand what's happening to your way of life. And you think I'm off my rocker, probably. And you just want things to go back to normal. And you may have heard this phrase before. But it bears repeating because it is true. There is no going back to what used to be called normal, because it was not normal. It was anything but normal. What is normal anyway, really? It's just a set of behaviors that are taught to people as this is the band of behaviors that's allowed in life, right? This is abnormal, this is not allowed. This is crazy, also not allowed. This is the normal, right? And so that's what you were taught, and I understand why so many of you, and I see it all around me, so many of you are going around hoping things are going to get back to some sort of normal. If you just cooperate enough, if you just do what you're told enough, you're going to be allowed to go outside and play in the sandbox again. And it's just not that way it's going to work. It just isn't. And I laugh because it's funny when you distance yourself from it. When you step back and you look at this whole thing and you think it's just about some pandemic or just about some virus, supposed virus, I don't know. And if you just play along, it's going to be good once again. It's not. You know, if we just take it logically, look at what happened with every major event. Like, let's only look at one major event that happened in the past 20 years. Let's look at 9/11. After that event, that catastrophe, were freedoms bestowed back on the people again? Or did the restrictions remain in place? Simple question. Did you have more rights, more freedoms before 9/11 or after 9/11? And here I'm talking about mass surveillance. I'm talking about bodily searches and luggage searches and scans up the wazoo every time you fly, because you're treated as a terrorist, a potential terrorist anyway. Every single one of you, when you fly, the TSA staff looks at you as if you're hiding a bomb somewhere. You've probably gotten used to all the surveillance. You think it's normal to be surveilled that much, to have all of your electronic communications copied, stored, scanned, ready for comparisons, ready for anything really that you might do in the future. Perhaps you think it's normal for various companies to just make tons of money off of you based on your data, based on the things you look at on the web, based on your private messages that you send to your friends back and forth, to your spouse back and forth. Maybe you think it's normal for them to have access to all of that. It's not. Well, if you don't believe me, just wait and see what happens with this situation. Just wait and see if the rules will be relaxed once again, and we will enjoy supposed freedoms once this virus is beaten. Maybe I should have used the air quotes around the beaten as well. Because if history has taught us anything, or has shown us anything as a witness, right, as a written record of what's been going on, is that once the government gets its hands on more of your freedoms and sees that it can get away with restricting your life even more, it's never going to relinquish that control. So there is no going back to normal, even if everybody plays along. Your life is going to be more and more restricted. And we're only talking about privacy and personal freedoms here. We're not even talking about the many freedoms that people enjoyed, back in the 50s, 60s, even earlier, before World War II, before World War I. So there is no going back to what used to be called normal. Now let's look at the positive side of things, the more optimistic view of things. The side that I'm talking about, where things are changing for the better, because we've reached a point in the evolution of humanity where we can ascend to a new plane of existence, where we can begin to live in more harmony with ourselves and with nature, where we can begin to listen more to the voice of our hearts, to the messages from our souls, to that little thing called intuition, to that little voice called consciousness. Those tiny little voices that we've been suppressing and pressing down because we wanted to fit in with the normal. We wanted to do what everybody else was doing, even though it was abnormal. When you look at things that way, then you begin to ask, well, what the heck is going on in the world now? It's a period of transition. It's an ugly period of transition. Ugly, scary, whatever you want to call it. It's a period of upheaval where the old arrangement is dissolving away and we're stepping into a new arrangement, a new plane of existence. I don't want to call it an order because this is not a new world order. That term unfortunately belongs to the old establishment. And it doesn't mean anything nice. But this is about as I've talked in previous videos, it's about a excuse me. It's about a greater plan for the human race, a greater plan for the planet, for the solar system, galaxy, universe. It's all part of a great big plan. A great big plan set into motion by the source itself. The creative consciousness that is behind, or the source, the origin for everything. You can call that source God if you want to. But most people's idea of God is unfortunately quite limited. You've been looking at God through the very unclear, fuzzy, tiny lens of religion, of dogma, of fearful little people, because that's what you've been perceiving yourselves as for the past, I don't know how many thousands of years, when that's not the case. And so you think of God as this dude, this old dude that sits on a throne. He's got a white beard and he's got some angels around him that sing and chant, and he issues commands and he says, you must do this, you must do that, or I will kill you, and so on and so forth. And that's not God. It's just not. Perhaps I can make a video, a separate video, where I talk about the way that God is. From what I've seen. Not with my physical eyes, but with the eyes of my mind, my soul. I'm not sure what to refer to them as. But what I've seen is beautiful and is so much more than what we know as people. Anyhow, it's about this great big divine plan that begins at the level of the universe and extends down through galaxies and solar systems and planets and races of people and animals, all the way down to the tiniest grain of sand. And this plan always is, much like its maker. It always is. There is no deviation from the plan. And unlike you've been taught, this plan uses both what you might call the forces of evil and the forces of good, in order to drive the evolution of everything down from the level of the universe to the races of people and to individual people, and all the way down to the tiniest grains of sand, the movements of the tiniest grains of sand. And what you're seeing now is you're seeing both sides, right? Both the bad and the good drive evolution forward. Until now, this has been hidden from you, mostly hidden. People simply accepted the world as it was and tried to play the rules of the game. Well, now the rules of the game are beginning to be shown. They're not hidden anymore. And you may ask why they're not hidden. It's because the divine plan believes that people are now ready to see the rules, to see how the game is played. That is a clear sign that the human race is maturing, that it is ready to step into a new plane of existence. It's hopeful. It's so hopeful. I wish you could see it the way I do. So many of you chime in with these messages of gloom and doom, and oh my God, the world is ending, our freedoms are going to be taken away completely, our way of life is over. And it's only the old arrangement that's dissolving away. We're stepping into a new way of living, a much better way of living. Be hopeful. Do not be afraid. I mean, I see and I hear of so many so-called Christians and who read the Bible, who brag about reading the Bible, and they're so afraid these days. You can see the fear in their eyes. And in the friggin' Bible, I don't know how many hundreds of times it tells you, do not be afraid, and yet these people are trembling. Why are you afraid? Even if you're a Bible-thumping fella, you should be hopeful. Read your friggin' book and be hopeful. And if you're not one of those people, look at the signs around you. Really look at them without fear. There's no reason to fear. All of this nonsense is beginning to dissolve. The more all of the hidden workings are brought to light, the easier it'll be for the whole spiel to just dissolve. It's going to be shed. It's going to be left behind. I just want you to see this and to realize that the old way of life will no longer be. Don't try to bring it back. It's like trying to bring back something that's dead. The way that you used to spend your lives, where you would be fudging your way through a day of work so you could drive off to get home and plop yourself in front of the TV, or to drive off to a restaurant to meet with friends, or to drive off to a movie and spend your evening that way, or to go to a bar and get drunk, or to go to a nightclub and get drunk and try to get lucky, and or where you'd go try to impress I don't know who by buying more expensive things, building bigger houses, buying bigger, more expensive cars, or going on expensive vacations and taking stupid photos and posting them on social media so you can brag. I've been here, I've been, look where I've been. Where the hell did that get you? Really? Where did it get you? It was all part of this nonsense that used to go on. And now it's thankfully not going on anymore. Not that there still aren't people who are trying to bring it back. Most of you are trying to bring that shit back. You're desperate for the rules to be relaxed so you can go on the same vacations, so you can take the same goddamn photos and videos. Look at what I'm doing. Oh, look at what I'm doing. I'm doing something more expensive. Look at the clothes I'm wearing. They're better than yours. Look at the car I'm driving. It's better than yours. This kind of shit is over with. Don't you see it? You've been given for the past year an opportunity to see that this kind of shit is over, and it still isn't sinking in. You still think this shit is going to go on. It's not. You've been given this gift over the past year of a lot of quiet time that you could spend on personal development, time that you could spend on yourselves and your families. And what have you been doing with it? You've been struggling, beating against this wonderful opportunity so you could get back to the same old shit. The same old grind, the same old meaningless existence. You could have used this time so wisely, and so many of you have not done that. I see you. I see you everywhere. We were driving through the mountains a few days ago. Beautiful, beautiful nature. And there was a wonderful mountain stream that was flowing happily alongside the road, weaving and making its way down the valley, down the mountainside into the valley. Any of the people driving on the road could have stopped to enjoy the stream and enjoy the sounds of nature, that gurgling brook sound that relaxes you so much and just drives the stress away from your body. What were they doing instead? Well, these two morons had stopped their car by the side of the road, but not on the side with the gurgling brook, on the other side of the road, against the sheer rock face. What were they doing? They'd pulled bottles of beer out of the car. They were drinking beer, chatting with each other about stupid shit. And the car stereo was turned all the way up, blaring this stupid, tasteless music all alongside the mountain, all alongside that road. You could hear them hundreds of yards away. That's how loud the music was. And the sad part, the even sadder part, is that's what they thought being in nature was all about. It was driving somewhere, not enjoying nature, being completely unaware of what's around you, just getting drunk on something and turning the stupid music up. You can do that shit anywhere. You can do it in your basement if you want to. You can put on headphones and listen to loud, stupid music till you blow out your eardrums and blood comes out of your nose. You can get drunk in your toilet so you can puke right on it. Right afterwards, you can be right there ready to purge it all out. You don't need to go in the middle of nature and pollute it with your stupidity. Just yesterday, neighbors of ours who are in their 60s, just up the street here, whom I knew to be civilized people with a proper head on their shoulders up till now, you know, upstanding members of society, that old gag. What was their bright idea yesterday? It was to get one of those nightclub speakers, really loud ones, you know, put it right in their window, facing the street, and to blare music that could be heard for hundreds of yards up and down the street for hours on end. Because that's civilization, that's relaxation. That was their effort to improve the neighborhood. To bring people closer is what they said. That's how you bring people closer, apparently. By blasting out their eardrums, by not respecting their peace and quiet, by driving them out of their houses, driving them cuckoo with loud music. That's how you do things, apparently. And these are just a few examples, right? Just a couple of examples. But I see this shit go on every day. I see people desperate to bring back what used to be. Not accepting what's happening. Not taking advantage of this time to do personal development work, to get ready. Because as I've said, if you're not ready, at some point you're going to clear out. This is not a joke. I don't mean to scare you with this. This is not as far as I know, now I could be wrong, but I very much doubt it. This is not a fabulation of mine. This is not fiction. The state of humanity is changing for the better. More importantly, the state of the planet is changing for the better. And it's an irreversible kind of change. You can't bring back the old. It doesn't work that way anymore. It's all ascending. It must ascend. It is the law of the universe. And those who do not ascend, guess what happens to them? You think it's going to be peachy for them? You think it's going to be happy times? I wish you'd take this more seriously. In a good way. This is such a positive change. It's an amazing time. This period of transition. This is what we've all come here to go through. Whether you realize it or not, at the soul level. You chose to come to Earth during this time. You chose to incarnate and to live here during this time. But those of you who don't see it this way, those of you who have not awakened, you're wasting such a precious time. And I don't know how much longer you have until things start to get really difficult for you. I don't know. More than a year has gone by. I don't even know, when did these lockdowns start? Last year, and towards the end of February? Was it March? I can't remember. But it's been more than a year, I think. When life was quieter, and people had more time to focus on these things. And yet most didn't. I really want you to take advantage of this time. I want you to go outside in nature, as close to nature as you can be. I realize some of you are living in these huge cities where good luck finding nature. You have to go to these artificial parks, but at least it's something natural in part over there. So go be next to plants, be next to nature, try to connect with the planet through vegetation, through your presence in the open air, in this wonderful spring breeze, the sunlight. Touch the flowers, smell the flowers, touch the trees, relax against them, stand against them, sit and rest your head on them. Try to connect with nature, try to enjoy the sounds of nature. It'll get you more in sync with the planet, and you need to be in sync with the planet from now on. It's so important for you to do this. I can't stress it enough. I've done what I could over the past several years with my photos and my videos to try to remind people of nature, of the beauty that can be found in nature. If you go back through my photos on my website, on the various social networks that I post on, Flickr, My Olympus, Facebook, MeWe, even YouTube, my videos, my vlogs that I've posted in the past, they had to deal a lot with nature or with natural practices, natural ways of living. And but so many of you are caught up in this nonsense. This is hamster wheel. And so many people out there have tried to reach these people, but have not been able to do it. Because some people simply cannot be reached and cannot be brought back to what is actually a normal way for humanity to exist, which is in harmony with each other and in harmony with nature. Where you lead peaceful existences or coexistences with nature and with each other. It is what it is, Each one of the people on earth is choosing the way they want to live. And where that way of living leads is their problem. So, for those of you who are watching this video, and I realize it's very few of you, remain hopeful, because it is hopeful. It is beautiful. It is wonderful. And don't worry too much about what's going on in the world, with the old establishment, with all that nonsense. It's all gonna just dissolve away. Stand upright like a free human being. Be respectful of others, but see to your own life and to your family. Provide for them, provide for yourself. Remember, you are so much more than just a cog in the old system. You're, each of you, sovereign human beings, and it's time you started acting like that. And shed the old. Let it just die away, burn away. Whatever metaphor you want to use to think of making it just go away, use that metaphor. And look forward to the new, the beautiful, the amazing, new way of living. So yeah, if you got this far, I wonder how many of you will get this far into the video. Thanks for watching, and till next time.